Welcome inside another edition of the Stingray Show. I am your host, Stephen Ray. And on today's episode, we are going to be joined by Adam Rittenberg to talk about the Ohio State University's chances against the Clemson Tigers. Then we are going to be joined by Clemson Tom, an avid sports fan there for the Clemson Tigers, to get his take on all things Clemson. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as Heath and I get you primed and ready for the second semifinal of the playoffs between Ohio State and Clemson, only on the Stingray Show.
The Dogs and Stingray are coming for you!
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Good afternoon, Mr. Feinbaum. Stingray here, and I'm about to shoot the bull with you like all the Auburn students do down at Auburn.
Worst defense ever!
So without further ado, here is the biggest Alabama going for the field goal. The kick is up. It is away. It is no good. Chris Davis bringing it out of the end zone. Oh, he's got blockers. Chris Davis up the sideline. Here he goes.
Here we go, guys. Dobbs back to pass. Launching the ball. Jennings, he's got it. Jennings, he's got it. Touchdown, Tennessee! They shocked the Dogs in Sanford Stadium! Are you kidding me? My God almighty! What an epic way for the Tennessee-Georgia rivalry to end this game! What a play! Wow!
Welcome inside another exciting edition of the Stingray Show. I am your host, Stephen Ray, and unfortunately, we have to start off the Stingray Show with a little bit of this. Unfortunately, we have a threat of severe weather that is supposed to take shape over the holiday weekend, starting on New Year's Eve and lasting through New Year's Day for some of the areas across the Southeast. So let me go on ahead and pull this up, and let me go on ahead and show you that the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center has both placed a good portion of Louisiana and the far southwestern portions of Mississippi. Basically, if you are from Natchez to Vicksburg down to Crystal Springs, and then, of course, Brookhaven and Macomb, you guys are now in the enhanced risk of seeing severe weather. Now, I think in the orange shade area, that is going to be where the most dangerous tornado threat will be. Now, could this be expanded on further off to the north and the east? I definitely think it could, but for right now, on Thursday, New Year's Eve, we are looking for an enhanced severe weather threat if you are in the areas of the orange. Now, as you can see, the slight risk goes all the way up to the Tuscaloosa-Jefferson County border, and then the marginal risk goes all the way up into the Tennessee Valley. So I will have continuing weather coverage about this system later today, and then, of course, tomorrow as things warrant. But I just wanted to give you guys a quick heads up that if you are in the area there, basically from Decatur all the way down to Victoria, Texas, you actually have a threat of seeing severe weather in the Thursday night and Friday time frames. So that's the reason that we're doing this weather thing real quick. So without further ado, let's go on ahead and start the Stingray show. Like I said, I will do another video this afternoon, this evening, and then, of course, all day tomorrow. I will be providing severe weather coverage as needed here on my social media page. But this is the Stingray show, so we're not all about the weather. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring up my co-host, Heath. Heath, how are you doing today, sir?
Hey, brother, what's going on, Steven?
Not much, man. Getting ready for a severe weather outbreak possible this time tomorrow and into the day on Friday.
I saw earlier in the week, and I don't know if you know this or not, but there was a threat of major snow in the Armed Forces Bowl in Fort Worth.
Yes.
And they said it could be sleet, and they said it could be rain, and then I stopped paying attention.
Yes.
You have any idea what the weather's going to be for Fort Worth come bowl game?
It's probably going to be really cold and possibly a chance of precipitation.
So I hope it turns to snow. I was at that Snow Bowl game at Mississippi State and A&M back in 2000. I was at that game in Shreveport. Had no socks on. I had driven in from Atlanta that day.
Wow.
Had no socks on. And somebody there, I won't say any names, but a very prominent alumni's granddaughter from Mississippi State handed me a garbage bag. They were wearing garbage bags to stay warm because they weren't dressed for the weather either.
Right.
And they tried to find ponchos and anything, and they couldn't find one. They had garbage bags, and they had holes for the head to slip on and cut out a place for the arm. So I was wearing a garbage bag in a driving snowstorm in Shreveport. And I'll never forget, I was getting off the exit, and it said eyeball, and it had the arrow pointing left. And I saw the very first snowflake, and I said, is that a snowflake? I was like, that's crazy. And then after we parked the car, it started coming down. By the time we got to the stadium, field was covered, and you know what happened. And
by the way, the anniversary of that is tomorrow, believe it or not.
Wow, 20 years, right?
Yes. I mean, that was an exciting game.
That kind of makes me sad that it's been 20 years since I've been in college.
Dude, that's insane. Well, dude, what are your thoughts about the other matchup between Ohio State and Clemson? As you can see, I'm gonna pull myself up full screen, and as you can see, over my shoulder here, if I can get it right, there we go.
There you go.
I've got the Ohio State and the Clemson paw up there. So I've got the Ohio State Clemson swag behind me. Just simply because we have that huge game coming up here in just a few days.
Do we need a theme song for the show? Each show could be Neon Moon today by Brooks and Dunn, with the Neon Tiger Paw?
Sure, yeah, that'd be fine.
All right. I'll let you sing that. I'm going to skip out.
Okay. Well, but what are your thoughts on that game, though?
I'm really looking forward to this game. When they announced it, I thought Clemson's just going to run away with it, and it's just going to get ugly. I got to watch a little bit more of that Clemson-Notre Dame game. Clemson was not sharp in that game. I mean, they beat Notre Dame handedly, but Clemson was not completely sharp in that game. Clemson's going to have to be sharper to take on Ohio State and beat them. I really think Ohio State has a chance to make a lot of noise in this game, Stephen, a lot of noise. I would not be shocked at all in the slightest if the Buckeyes pull this off. I don't know if I'm going to make that prediction yet, but I really like Ohio State's doing things. This is my thing about Ohio State. I'm worried about them being rusty coming out and having issues. Not everything's clicking. They did not look good their last two games at all, and so I'm waiting on. I think that first quarter. I don't think either team can win it in the first quarter, but I think both teams can lose it in the first quarter. So it's going to be an interesting game to see. But if I had to call it right now, I might take the Buckeyes. Might. Yes, Clemson Tom.
All right. So without further ado, with that, let's go in and bring in our first guest. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the one, the only, and probably the biggest Clemson fan you guys will see out there. Without further ado, here is our good friend to the show, Mr. Clemson Tom. Mr. Tom, how are you doing today, sir?
Who is your co-host? I used to know that guy. I don't know him anymore.
I know. Tom, I still think you're a gangster, by the way.
I appreciate it. I'm only gangster if I'm listening to some old school hip hop, and then I got to pay bills and mortgages and things, and I don't get as gangster as I'd like.
Hey, you know what, Tom? For the fun of it, so we can get to know you a little bit better. What kind of gangster hip hop do you listen to from the old school stuff?
Oh my gosh, Dre, Snoop, Pac, Biggie, the classics, man.
Yeah, I know,
classics, brother.
I know. And Tom, what do you do for a living, brother?
I am a general manager of a company down here in Orlando. I don't like to give out too much info on me. The crazy Gamecocks out there like to send death threats. So.
Oh, wow.
Trust me, I keep it. I'm more put together than what I put out there on Twitter and YouTube and stuff.
What you're known for is being.
Did we
we lost him. Yeah, we lost him. I don't know what happened.
Oh, wow.
We had this issue the last time, but hey, man, you said he was a gangster, so I mean,
Tom is a gangster.
Huh?
Tom is a gangster.
So hopefully we can get him back here pretty quick. There he is. Hey, man, I don't know what happened.
That was you guys this time. I don't know what happened.
Was it us?
System booted me.
I got you. Listen, what you're known for is, Bleacher Report and ESPN have named you the number one Clemson fan. What made them decide to do that?
I don't know. I didn't even know I made the list until one of the Clemson coaches sent me a text message, and he was like, "Congrats!" And I was like, "For what?" It was like at 6 a.m. I'm like, "What'd I do?" And he sent me the link, and I was like, "Holy crap, that's pretty cool." It was something cool to have, but I mean, I didn't. They didn't send me a birthday card or anything. They just kind of posted a link about it. That was really it. But it was pretty cool. It was something to laugh at. Stingray, you're, in my opinion, you're right up there as the number one, Mississippi State guy. You know what I mean? So it's an accolade that hopefully they read at our funeral one day, because it's kind of cool in its own world.
Yeah.
Tom, you're not planning on leaving us anytime soon, are you?
Do what now?
I said, Tom, you're not planning on leaving us anytime soon, are you?
No. But whenever the good Lord calls me up, brother, I want somebody to at least laugh about it and mention it,
So
as they lay me down.
Right.
Tom, I have to admit, I purposely tried to get you riled up before we got you to come on and see what you would say about the Clemson Notre Dame game. What are your thoughts on that game, man?
I thought we looked good. I have to disagree with half the stuff you said about it. It's not really looking good. To be honest with you, our defense was finally healthy. We went out there swinging. We did what we had. And then the thing with Clemson is once we know the game's in check, we do tone it down. We don't like to open up the playbook any more than what we have to put anything on film. So I think that's kind of what we did. We gave Ian, I don't know, Facebook, whatever his name is, some different looks, and it worked. And, we came out victorious. But our coaching staff is well known for, as soon as we know it's in hand, we tone it down. We run the ball. We kind of get it all out there. And I was happy with it. I knew we were going to beat them. I have no doubts about Ohio State. Their defense has allowed, I read it earlier this week. They're ranked really, really low in pass defense. And if you're ranked really low in pass defense against a guy named Trevor Lawrence, then, that's between you and God at that point, because it ain't going to work out too well for you.
What do you think the kind of game Trevor Lawrence is going to have against?
You know what? With the Heisman talk coming out, with him, just knowing a little bit of stuff that's, behind the books a little bit, that LSU loss really, really hurt, because there for a while it was looking like we were going to win. And LSU came back, they were the better team. I'm not going to, say they weren't. But, he wants to go out on top. You know, he wants to have another national championship, you know,
Yes.
under his belt at Clemson. And I think he's got a little bit of fire brewing in the pit of his belly. I think the rest of the team does as well. You know, we're going to lose a lot of guys. Travis Etienne, the running back, best running back in college football. You know, those guys don't want to go out and with a loss to Ohio State, the first Clemson team to ever lose to Ohio State. You don't want that on your record book. And I think Trevor's going to win the Heisman Trophy on this game. I think he's going to come out swinging. It's going to be like a gunslinger. You know, put the women and children to bed early, brother, because it's going to get ugly. And you're going to hear a lot of crying, a lot of blaming the refs, a lot of whatevers coming from the cry eyes is what I like to call them, the butt cries. I don't. They are the whininest, cryingest fan base I've ever run into. I mean, every time you see them, well, the referees gave the game away to Clemson. Yeah, those refs threw that blinded interception in the end zone. You know, the refs didn't keep you out of the end zone when you were, you know, in the red zone. I don't know, 6 different times. Just take your L and keep it moving, Buckeyes, Cry Eyes, whatever. And stay out of the South. Stay in Ohio. No one likes Ohio State but Ohio State people. And that should tell you something. I mean, golly, I don't even like Kirk Herbstreit because he's a Buckeye. He could have went to Northwestern and I would have loved him. But no, he's an Ohio State fan. Don't like him. They're probably crying
you're in luck.
or something.
You're in luck because we have a Northwestern grad coming on here shortly after you. Adam Rittenberg from ESPN is going to join us. So we said no to Kirk just because of you, Clemson Tom.
Appreciate that. You guys did yourself a favor. Actually, he's got COVID, so I don't know. You don't really want him on the show. I don't know how COVID can spread through the phone. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Right. Well, can you kind of talk to us real quick, Clemson, real quick about the journey that Clemson has been on, basically going from the Bowden era to now being a powerhouse. What has that journey been like to be a fan of Clemson?
Well, I remember inventing new curse words.
Yeah.
When we had the Bowden area. I mean, I remember them old men. I'm sure you got those old men at Mississippi State. They're, let's go home, honey. I've seen enough.
Yes.
I'm like, Mr. Earl, it's the first quarter. Sit back down.
There's also some young
I'm
men that do
done.
that
I'm
too.
done. I'm going home.
Yeah.
It's been fun, and I wasn't sold on Dabo at first. I even told Dabo at one of the speaking engagements we had for the boosters. I was like, Dabo, I didn't really know if I liked you at first, bro.
Yeah.
But now he's great now. You know, it's been fun. It's been a wild ride. You know, Taj Boyd, Sammy Watkins, Duke Hopkins came in there, Brandon Ford.
Yeah.
You know, they really built that up. You could feel the momentum shift when we beat LSU in the Chick-fil-A Bowl. There was something about that win. And it kick-started us. Then we had Deshaun Watson. It's been fun, man. We've come from, you know, little old Clemson. No one ever gave us a chance on anything to now it's crap. We got Clemson on the schedule, you know?
Yes.
You know, now we're everybody's Super Bowl. I mean, look at Ohio State's Twitter account today. I mean, they're already posting revenge videos. I mean, when's Ohio State ever? They're supposed to be Ohio State. They're supposed to be a blue blood. Not anymore, son. You know, there's a new sheriff in town, and it's Clemson. So it's been a fun ride. It's been wild. It's ups and it's downs. And right now we're in the best Clemson years ever. So I'm honestly just trying to live it up and have a good time with it. It's going to end eventually, just like any kind of a run. But I have a feeling we're going to be around for a while, man.
Well, let me talk about this because you actually talked about Dabo. Did you happen to read or see the article that Dan Wolken put out today?
If I see Dan Wolken, I'm swinging on sight. That's all it is. That man all 2020. Dabo could sneeze funny, and he would write a bad article about him. He's done no legitimate research about Clemson. He doesn't attend any press conferences. He doesn't do anything. He goes off of whatever is basically just said. Like, he just goes off his own opinion piece. It's ridiculous. It's completely biased. There's no facts with any of his stuff. It's horrible. It's how this man still has a job with USA Today is beyond me. I don't know. It's a garbage piece. Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yes.
But when you put your personal opinions in a piece and you write it based off of that, there's a lack of credibility. There's a lack of professionalism. There's a lack of pretty much everything. I mean, people always say, oh, fanboys, you know, write about, you know, how great their team is. The man has a blatant disregard for Dabo for some reason. I don't know if Dabo owes him money. I don't know what it is, but his blatant hatred and bias towards us. It's something, I feel like it's like Animal House, like we're on double secret probation with USA Today or something like that. I've trolled Dan Wolken as best as I could with him and his little extra medium sweaters that he wears that he posts on his Twitter account and his Facebook. And the kid ain't got no friends, man. He no one likes him. I don't even think his mama likes him. You know, they had to tie a bone around his neck as the kids to have the dogs play with him. The dogs don't even want to play with him. No one likes this man. He's horrible. Just absolutely, he's absolutely garbage. And if you want to write a bad piece on Clemson and you want to use facts and you want to use this or that actually has substance, then so be it. But don't take your personal opinion and your personal just blind hatred for something and write something about it and expect people to take you serious. The only time I'm going to take him serious is when he retires. God, that'd be a glorious day. I'm going to throw a party that day. You coming? Y'all coming to the party?
Absolutely.
Retirement party.
Tom, I have to say, there's been some things that Dan has written and said in the past that I was not a fan of, but he's actually been on the show twice, and he's actually been an incredible, gracious guest on our show a couple of times.
Y'all had him on the show?
Yeah, we've had him on the show twice. He's been super nice.
Tell him next time he's on the show, you tell him I said I don't like him.
Tom, maybe we could do something for charity. Maybe we could do something for St. Jude's Cancer Research Hospital. Would there be a pay-per-view or a cage fight that you would be willing to?
Sign me up.
What about a Texas Tornado Death Match?
Sign me up. I'm all about. All I need is an address and a time. That's all I need. And someone needs. And you know what? I'll match whatever gets raised. You know,
wow.
All I need is an address, a 6-pack, and a time. I'm there. I'm coming.
Man, that's great.
Tom, let me ask you, if that's your precondition that you need a 6-pack, what would you like to have?
Cold beers. I don't care what they are. Just make sure they're cold, brother. I'll take care of the rest.
You're okay with Pabst Blue Ribbon, Heineken?
Yeah, whatever you want. I'm there. Just don't make it none of those Mike's Hard Lemonade seltzer things or High Noons or whatever those sorority girls drink, brother. This is the South, and I'm a man. I got a beard. We drink cold beers, and it's real beers. I'll even throw in some cheap liquor. I don't care.
Right.
You want to talk about being gangster? Let's get gangster. I'll put them in I don't care where it is. Meet me in somebody's backyard, an alleyway. I feel like Apollo Creed and Rocky 2. Just pick up the phone. I'll meet them anywhere.
That's awesome, man. Well, let's move on from the Notre Dame game. I'm sorry, from the Ohio State game. How do you think Clemson stacks up against Alabama this year?
Woo, I don't know, man. I haven't watched a lot of Alabama this year. I know they've got one of the best wide receivers, if not the best wide receiver in college football. Right. It would be a great test for our defense. Mac Jones, I just think it's another product of that offense. I'm not 100% sold on him. Obviously he's a good talent, but it is what it is. Could we beat them? Absolutely. Could they beat us? Absolutely. I think that would probably be the best Clemson-Alabama matchup we've ever seen. And, we faced some good teams with them. They faced some really good teams with us. For some reason, I think that one would just be, shoot, man, you want to talk about Rocky, that'd be Rocky 4 right there. Or even Rocky 3 when he fights Mr. T the second time.
Yeah,
that's just a good matchup right there. I would love that game. That would be phenomenal. The showdown in South Beach.
Tom, since you're on a roll, I want to hear of what you would think about all the people that say, I don't want to see Bama and Clemson play for the national championship. I'm so tired of this. What do you have to say to those people?
Well, I would say go ahead and probably write to your athletic director, call up your head coach on the phone, tell them to start doing some better recruiting, tell them to start, playing better football. It's not my fault that we're going out there and we're the best team out there. It ain't luck, it's skill. So if you don't like what your team's doing and you're tired of seeing the two best teams in college football go out there and playing for a championship, that's between you and your own team. So don't blame me for going out there and cheering on my team for waking up when they're supposed to wake up, going to class when they're supposed to go to class, and doing their jobs, film room, doing whatever it is that we got to do to be the absolute best. I don't know. Look at Florida trying to do it, then Dan Mullen goes on and gets on probation with the NCAA. He's out there trying to cheat. If you cheat and you ain't trying, I guess is what they say in Gainesville.
Yes.
Dan's probably going to the NFL anyways. I think the Jaguars are looking at him, but that's neither here nor there. Florida's whatever. But I mean, if you're honestly mad because Clemson and Alabama are in the championship, man, I don't know. Try putting on some orange, throw on some maroon. I don't know. Start rooting for Saban. I don't know what to tell you. It's not my fault. You know, your own team is not doing well. Don't blame me. That's your fault.
All right, and my final question for you is this. With the 4-team playoff, did you honestly feel like that the committee got it right that Notre Dame deserved to be in, or should it have been A&M or Cincinnati?
Gosh. Man, it was tough this year with how the season played out. You couldn't really play a full season. So you hate that, teams like Cincinnati didn't get a chance. And you hate watching, A&M getting blown out by Alabama and them crying that they want a rematch. I think they lost like 56 to -4. But, yeah, you deserve to be in the playoffs. You got your butt spanked. Yeah, of course. Come on in here. Honestly, I don't think A&M could beat Notre Dame. That's just me. I could be wrong. It's probably one of those things where the home team would win every single time. But, yeah, I guess they got it right. Jimbo's going to go out there. He's going to complain and say it was rigged. He's one of those guys.
Yes.
We played A&M. I don't think they're that good of a football team. I think the fact they didn't have to play a full schedule benefited them, greatly. I think LSU being way, way down benefited them greatly. I think Ole Miss being Ole Miss this year helped them out a lot. So, yeah, they had a leg to stand on. But when you're the smartest kindergarten and you're the 32 years old in the class, don't say you should be valedictorian just because everyone else around you was horrible at the spelling test. So Jimbo deserves what he gets. He made a deal with the devil in Tallahassee, and now he's reaping those consequences in College Station.
Tom, this interview's been gold so far. So I'm going to keep it going for you. Hopefully we can get you elected to public office after this interview. To all the people that say that Dabo is going to take over at Alabama when Nick Saban retires, what are your thoughts on what do you say to those people, and what would you tell Dabo?
Why? Honestly, he ain't doing it.
No.
And that just gives people talking points. Why would you want to follow in Nick Saban when Alabama's got all these dreams and aspirations every single year? He loses to Auburn, and then he goes and he plays in, the Capital One Bowl. That's a down year for them. Dabo and Clemson could walk on. He walks on water. He does absolutely nothing wrong. We came from being little old Clemson to a powerhouse with Dabo. Dabo could kick your dog, and you'd be like, I don't know what my dog did, but Dabo kicked it, and it's okay. You go to Alabama and you kick somebody's dog, and it's like, well, Saban never kicked my dog, and you're always going to be compared to the Bear Bryants, to the Nick Sabans. He's fine where he is, and he can win where he is. If he goes to Alabama, it's only because he played there and he grew up an Alabama fan. But he's been at Clemson longer than he was ever in Alabama. It doesn't make any sense. He can do exactly what he's doing at Clemson with less pressure, with more credibility, in my opinion, than he could ever do in Tuscaloosa. The barbecue's better in Clemson anyways. The girls are a little bit prettier in Clemson. And he doesn't have to deal with the SEC nonsense. You lose 2 games and they're like, I think we're going to fire him. Good Lord. Hey, you can't believe he lost to Auburn and he lost to LSU. Oh, gosh. You lose 2 games at Clemson and it's like, what the heck happened? Let's come back next year, come out swinging. We're more realistic in Clemson than they could ever be in Tuscaloosa. And we get the same players. We get everything's the same. We're just overall, it's a better job in Clemson than it ever is at Alabama. Alabama, it's more of a staple. And at Clemson, I feel like we play a little bit looser. Facilities are just as nice, if not nicer. They don't got to slide.
We actually have some breaking news for you, Clemson Tom. This comes from Adam Rittenberg. Clemson has just announced that offensive coordinator Tony Elliott is going to be unavailable for the Sugar Bowl because of COVID issues. So what are your thoughts on that now?
I'm glad I got a bottle of Jim Beam in my desk. I don't know. Seriously? You're not trolling me?
No, I'm not. This was breaking news from Adam Rittenberg right now.
Well, You know, you can probably think what I would like to say.
Yes.
It is what it is, bro. I mean, honestly, next man up is what's going to be the mentality. Shoot, man, I'm sure they've been kind of preparing for something like this. Anyways,
Yes.
who did they say was going to be calling plays? Is it going to be Streeter?
They did not say, but he will not travel to the team with New Orleans.
Well, the game plan's already been set. We already know
Yes.
what plays we want to call. Whoever's going to be calling the plays, I have a feeling is going to be able to do just fine. They can make a name for themselves. You know, that sucks. I'm not going to
Yes.
lie to you, but it is what it is. So, X's and O's, Adams and Jones, whatever. Golly, seriously, this kills me right now. Whatever. Tigers by 90. That's all I can say.
Yes.
But it does kind of. It's like your kid just kicked you in the shin.
I know.
No, that's not cool. It is. Hey, you know what? We're still going to win. I still
Yes.
know the game plan has already been set. Everything's already been set. We just don't have one guy saying which play we're going to run at the time. And you know what? That might be okay. Because now Ohio State's used to Tony Elliott's style of picking plays. Now they have no clue who's going to be picking those plays. So the schemes are going to be a little bit different. That actually favors the Tigers. Booyah.
Tom, this is going to be my last question for you. And by the way, thank you for coming back on and making this interview just
dude,
pure.
I'm sorry. Last time when I was driving, I had you guys when I was going. I went through a dead zone downtown Orlando. My bad. I'd come on every week, every day if you guys wanted me to, man.
I don't say that. We might during the off season.
Let's do it, baby.
Hey, Tom, it could be a personal story, one that you heard, one that you read, but what is your absolute favorite Dabo Swinney story?
Oh, man. My favorite Dabo story?
Yeah.
It's actually about his wife, Kathleen.
All right.
That I thought was pretty cool. There was a mom in Walmart in Clemson trying to figure out what she needed to get. I think it was her daughter or son, whatever it was, their kid for the dorm room. And Kathleen was there, and she could tell the mom was kind of nervous, whatever. She was like, "Hey, is everything okay?" And the mom kind of vented a little bit, being, "Hey, well, we're from." They weren't from South Carolina, and their son or daughter was a freshman at Clemson, and they were unsure. A whole new state, first time away from home, kind of a thing. And Kathleen helped pick out what they would probably need for the dorm room, like, hey, this is what other college kids are doing. And Kathleen actually gave the mom her cell phone number. It's like, is there anything that happens that you need? Here's our number. And she introduced herself at the end of the story, and the lady was like, had no idea it was Dabo's wife. But it just goes to show they do a lot for the community that never gets talked about, never gets, Dan Wolken probably will never recognize it. But they do a lot within the community that doesn't get any publicity, and I don't think they really want it to. I don't really think they care, to be honest. I don't really think they care. Their main goal is to mold these young men into strong men that are better in their community, and football just happens to be the platform that they use. So that's something that you can like Dabo, you can dislike him, you can have whatever you want, but one thing you cannot deny is that what he does with his players in the community is phenomenal. That you can't tip your hat to him. You can't not tip your hat to him, no matter whatever your feelings are towards him or Clemson.
Well, I do have one final question, and this I would love to get your take on this. What do you feel like in the SEC that we can expect from your arch rivals just hiring Shane Beamer up there at South Carolina?
To national championships. Helinski just entered the transfer portal.
Right.
They still got Mike Bobo calling plays. Anyone that's ever been familiar with Georgia football is already like, you're keeping him there. You know what? They're not going to be good. They love Shane. He's already been there. The players actually played for him. I thought was pretty good. It was his dream job, that actually wanted to move to Columbia, South Carolina, as much as this man does. But the expectation is just ungodly.
Yeah.
They legitimately feel like they should be Alabama. They legitimately think they should win every game by 1 million. Their fan base is absolutely ridiculous. It's like they live in Delusionalville. So he'll probably be there for about 5 years, and then they'll fire him, and then they'll be on to the next guy. And every quarterback they ever get is always the next greatest quarterback ever.
Right.
And then the quarterback always fizzles out or transfers like you always see. So it's honestly, I think it's just next man up, same story. Choose your own.
I got you. Well, Tom, listen, man, thank you so much for joining us. And real quick, is there anything that you would like to give a shout out to or tell people how they can find you on social media?
Yeah, every platform is just at Clemson Tom. But yeah, go Tigers. Hope you guys have a great New Year's. And it's bowl season, baby. This is what we live for. So let's hope we have another national championship on our belts.
Well, man, if Clemson and when Clemson does go through and win and lock up that spot in the national championship game, hopefully we can have you on next week to talk about it. And for some reason we lost audio, but man, that was a wonderful interview there with Clemson Tom.
Man, Tom is a gangster. He really is. You know, I thought about this, Stephen, when he was telling that story about Kathleen and everything, Dabo's wife. There should be a reality show where Tom goes and interviews, like a sit-down interview with all Division I football coaches' wives.
Yes.
Just because that would be the most random thing. Anything Tom does, I would watch. You know, if Tom is painting his kid's room, and it was on Facebook Live, I would watch it.
I don't know about that, man, but that was a great interview. And what is your thoughts about his reaction to Dan Wolken?
You know, Dan said something that's probably offended everybody at one time or another, and that's Dan's style. That's why Dan's very popular and successful. Dan's a great writer. He's a great friend of our show.
Yes.
Dan has never done anything to me personally, and he, like I said, he has been a super great friend to this show. Not just a good friend or a great friend. I mean, he's been phenomenal.
Yes.
Us on the show. So, you know, I was, but I see where Tom's coming from on some things. But yeah, Dan's never done anything to me. I don't ever plan on doing anything to Dan. I hope to keep it on the up and up. But that would be a pay-per-view I'd pay for. Dan and if Dan and Tom just sat down for a steak dinner, I would watch that pay-per-view.
Yes.
What in the world would that conversation be?
No clue. Hey, let's go on ahead now real quick. Last night, did you happen to watch anything?
Oh, let me think. I did a lot of work last night. I had a full schedule. I've had a full schedule here recently. I watched a little football last night.
They lost.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch any of that game. I watched a little bit of the Texas-Colorado game. I watched a little bit of that. I had my eye on that. I was looking at my phone at that game. It looked like Miami was trying to make the comeback and pull it off. But
and by the way, the two starting quarterbacks last night got injured. DeAndre King for Miami got injured with a knee injury, did not return. And then in the later bowl game, Sam Ehlinger went down with a shoulder injury and did not return.
Wow. I don't know when Ehlinger got hurt. When I was watching, he was still playing.
Yes.
Yeah. I had a busy night last night. I ate some Wendy's and went to bed early. Free plug to Wendy's.
Yes. By the way, don't know if you saw this or not, but that game was a complete blowout win by LSU last night.
I did watch the highlights of that this morning. And Stephen, what happened to Ole Miss last night in Alabama?
Man, that game right here. Now, of course, that was last night, and Alabama absolutely destroyed them in that ball game in Tuscaloosa. And our good friend Dave Neal was actually on the call for that game.
Yeah, I was flipping the channels right before I went to bed. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to get a score on that one, or not a score, a highlight, I should say." And when I saw the final score, I was like, what happened? I actually had to pull up my phone to see if that score was right. I was like, that can't be right. So yeah, props to the Rebels and Kermit. Excuse me, props to Alabama.
Yes.
Kermit and those guys were playing good basketball, and Bama was trying to find themselves, but Bama, big.
And I believe Mississippi State plays tonight. Am I correct on that?
I should know the answer to that, Stephen. I do not. I think you're right.
Now, I will tell you there's a really intriguing game that's coming up this weekend. 1-6 Kentucky takes on Mississippi State.
Whew. I tell you what, I have been keeping up with John Calipari. John Calipari was a humongous figure here in the Memphis area. He wasn't big; he was humongous, and everything Coach Kyle did, it was to the equivalent of Nick Saban in Tuscaloosa. Of course, Memphis is a much bigger place, bigger city, but Coach Kyle is massive here, and when he left, people were very jaded, very upset. But a lot of people still keep tabs on Cal, especially a lot of the local media still keeps tabs on Cal. So I've always kept tabs on Cal before he came to Memphis, while he was at Memphis, and since he's left. And I have watched a couple of Cal's press conferences in the past week, and he's saying, I'm sorry I made this ridiculous schedule. I'm sorry about the schedule. This is my fault. I did this schedule. I'm the one to blame. So it's been quite interesting to see Cal be humble, because that's a rare occasion.
Yes. Well, I just got word that a friend of mine is watching us while he is flying up at 43,000 feet.
Wow.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's actually the guy that we've actually had on before, Spencer. So wanted to give him a quick shout out there. Also, I do also want to mention, I don't know if I should or not, but actually this game right here is actually going on right now as we speak. And Wisconsin is actually on top of Wake Forest in the fourth, 28-21. I just checked the score.
Yeah, I watched a play or two before I came and set up everything, turned on my mic and my lights, and but I caught a couple of plays before I came in, and Wisconsin had just scored. So yeah, it's I thought that game would be more of a blowout.
Yes.
Look at Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons hanging tough.
Hey, by the way, I don't know if you saw this or last night, but at the end of the Cheez-It Bowl, they actually dumped a Gatorade bucket full of
Cheez-Its?
Cheez-Its, yes, on Mike Gundy. So the question that everybody has on their mind now is, are there going to be a bucket of mayo dumped on the coach at the end of this one? Boy, wouldn't that one blow up Twitter and social media.
Maybe that should be a bowl tradition. Whatever bowl game you're in, there's going to be,
now just make it food, though. Food.
Oh, no, man. Like the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl, let's put some airplane parts in there.
Yeah.
Just dump it on them, Just that'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it? I mean, what would be the worst thing to be dumped on? Well, my first thought was this: is how nasty is that mullet of Gundy's with Cheez-Its all in it?
Yes.
I'm sure that South Florida weather wasn't completely cool. I'm sure there's some sweat, some Cheez-It, some salt, aged cheddar. But what would be the nastiest thing bowl game related to be dumped on?
I actually I don't even have to think about this. Chili. Like, with the tomato sauce and the beans and the meat and all that stuff, that would just be I just don't think I would not want that on me.
What about a bowl game tie-in? Like the Orange Bowl, dumping orange juice on people. That's not so bad. What about of course, you can't dump Liberty on people from the
Right.
Liberty Bowl.
Uh,
I'm trying to think.
oh, by the way, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. You could do chips.
Well, there you go.
Man, that would be nice. I don't know. I mean, you could pick one up off your shoulder and eat it. I don't know.
Is that a chip on your shoulder? Hey, great story, Stephen. When Lou Holtz was at Arkansas, they said, and I can't remember who they were playing. It was back when they were in the Southwest Conference, way back when. Every time they scored, they told them if they won the game, they would go to the Orange Bowl. And every time, this is their last regular season game, and every time Arkansas scored, fans would throw oranges out onto the field. And so anyway, the game was on CBS, national televised game. Lou Holtz is down the field after the game, and oranges are just falling down all around him. And the sideline reporter asked him, he was like, Lou, what do you think about all these oranges? And Lou Holtz, in typical Lou fashion, goes, I'm just glad we're not playing in the Gator Bowl.
That's awesome, man.
So, I think that's the best Lou Holtz moment of all time. But that would be fun to have alligators thrown out in the field every time you score.
Dude, that would be serious.
Yeah, think about that. Would be the worst thing to have dumped on you, Stephen.
Yes.
Is alligators.
And speaking of gators, that is a good segue, my friend, because while we wait on our next guest, we are actually going to pick the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, and it's going to be tonight at 7 p.m. on ESPN, and it is Oklahoma, the winners of the Big 12, taking on the runners-up in the SEC. Now, remember, Kyle Pitts has opted out of this football game. I'm actually going with the Sooner Schooner. I'm going with OU in this game just simply because of the way that the Florida Gators struggled without Pitts against LSU in the last regular season game.
I really think that LSU game, it was Florida looking ahead to Alabama. I really think that's the reason they lost that game.
Right.
I thought they thought LSU was trash. They could just show up and beat them and move on, and that wasn't the case, obviously. This game has so much volatility. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oklahoma has guys opting out. Florida has guys opting out. There's coaches in transition leaving programs to take other jobs and things going on. It's a crazy situation. The NCAA and the craziness with Dan Mullen, folks opting out, getting ready for the NFL draft. There's so much volatility on both sides. Both teams have so much going on. Stephen, I think this game's a complete toss-up, but whoever wins it is going to blow the other team out, and I have no idea who that's going to be.
Yes.
I think this game is a complete toss-up, but whoever loses is going to just be blown completely out of the water, and it's going to be an embarrassment bowl loss.
And actually, the reason I'm going with OU is because they are really good about forcing turnovers, there for Oklahoma. And they had a game-clinching interception there against Brock Purdy in the Big 12 championship game. And they picked off Sam Ehlinger in the fourth overtime against Texas. And, Florida, with one of their losses early, had turnover issues against A&M early in the season.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting no matter what. Do I think Florida can win this game? Yeah. I think Florida can blow them out. Do I think Oklahoma can win this game? I think Oklahoma was playing the best football at the end of the year. Yeah. Better than anybody. And Tom Luganbill said the same thing here on the show. And he was not the only one that's been saying that.
Right.
So I give the edge to Oklahoma just because the NCAA drama and opt-outs, but there's just so much drama on both sides of the ball. I have no clue what's going to happen in this game, but I will watch. I know that. So,
but who are you picking, though? Just go ahead and make a pick.
You know what? I'm an SEC guy. I'm going to stay with the SEC. I'll go Florida. I'm not comfortable with it, but, I'll take the Gators. Chomp, chomp, baby.
I would agree with you if Kyle Pitts was playing, though.
Fair enough.
So I think that's a really big loss for Florida because he is half of the offense. So that's the reason that I'm not. All right, while we wait on Adam, I would like to get your take. I'm going to pull you up full screen. Well, almost full screen. And I want you to give us your take on this game right here.
Oh, are you talking about the Armed Forces Bowl?
Yes, sir.
Well, that man right there, the absolute best defender in college football, will not be playing in this game. He will be out. There were some fun things I heard. I was listening to Steve Robertson and his podcast earlier today, The Boneyard, phenomenal podcast for Mississippi State. But he mentioned that of all the kickoffs that Tulsa has had this year, only 3 have been touchbacks. They don't have a strong kicker, and also Tulsa tries to shorten the game. They try to run the ball and shorten the game. So Mississippi State with that great run defense, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a battle of wills on that. Zach Arnett and that phenomenal 3-3-5 defense taking on a team that likes to grind it out between the tackles. So you're going to look at that, and then you look at the receivers, and there's really not much there. A very interesting fun fact is Tulsa is one of the best pass defensive teams in the country. Now, that's a little skewed because they played the likes of Army and Navy, and they don't pass the ball. They play a lot of teams that are, matter of fact, just about their entire schedules run first. But this is the whole secret to Tulsa and their game plan, is that they purposely run the ball, try to shorten the game, give themselves a chance in the fourth quarter. They have phenomenal defensive play. They try to get you to make the mistake, get the ball, and score. Basically, this is what we saw with Jackie Sherrill at Mississippi State back in the 90s. This is what we saw with just about every SEC team that we saw in the 90s. That's how you won football games. That's how you made it famous. But the craziest stat that I heard on this, Tulsa has only scored 12 points in the first quarter all season. They don't average 12 in the first quarter. They've only scored 12 points combined all year long in the first quarter. So they're a team that does not get out and race out to a fast start. So I think that'll be the secret to Mississippi State. Steve Robertson said on this podcast that they're very good at adapting at halftime, making adjustments. So if you don't have your lead on Tulsa by halftime, you're in a dog fight there in the second half. So secret is with Tulsa, you got to jump out on them early. You got to get up on them a little bit because second half they're going to make that run on you.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm still here. I'm just down here under the graphics. So there I am. So I was still there. And I heard things. So that was a good little thing there. We're talking, of course, about the Armed Forces Bowl. And, man, I got to tell you what, I'm actually going with Tulsa in this one. Who do you like?
I like Mississippi State. I think they're going to have success throwing the ball. When you miss your best player on your entire team, that's going to affect you, especially if he's on defense.
Yes.
That's going to affect things. I don't think they've seen much of the air raid. I think that's going to kind of be a little bit of a foreign concept of how Mike Leach does it. I think Mississippi State's going to be highly successful in this game.
Yes.
And I think Mississippi State kind of wins. I think they put this game away in the first half, but I think they pull away in the second.
Are you actually going?
Originally, I was. Let me rephrase it. I was heavily considering it.
Yes.
I was hoping that the game would be snow. I was going to be all about that. But when I heard that it could be sleet or rain, I was like, I'm not doing that. That game's played on the campus of Tulsa.
Yes.
Or excuse me, on the campus of TCU.
Yes.
And I've always heard that's just a beautiful, beautiful, immaculate campus. If you haven't seen it, Google. There's some wonderful pictures of that campus. But a Texas elite, some of that old money of Texas, they send their kids and grandkids to TCU. So it's a very well-off, well-to-do school.
Yes. And I'm actually going with Tulsa in that one, just simply because I feel like that they are the better football team.
There you go.
All right. Well, if you're ready, we will go on ahead and bring in our next guest.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to this.
So, without further ado, here is the one and only Mr. Adam Rittenberg. Adam, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing great, guys. How you doing?
Good.
You're all right.
Thank
Adam,
you.
we saw that you broke some news a little bit earlier about Clemson's offensive coordinator. What do you know about that situation?
Yeah, no, not a ton. Just unfortunately, Tony Elliott won't be at the game against Ohio State. He's at home. All they're saying is that he's in COVID protocols. They can't, legally say that anybody's tested positive. But hoping Tony is okay, and but he will not obviously be calling plays for Clemson, which is certainly big news. Now we don't know who will be calling plays. I assume Dabo Swinney will address that on Thursday. Their quarterback coach Brandon Streeter has been there quite some time. So my guess is it will be him, but I don't know that for sure.
Well, first off, how do you feel like that will impact the game overall between Ohio State and Clemson?
Again, I think Tony's a terrific play caller, and certainly there's some patterns and some specific calls that you're going to miss. But you have a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence who is a veteran. He knows what they want to do. They've practiced obviously all week, last few weeks for this game, and so they have their game plan. He just can't actually call the plays in person, which is again certainly a disruption. But I think it would be a much tougher situation if it was a new quarterback or a younger quarterback. And maybe a play caller who hadn't been there for as long as Tony's been there. So the good news is that there's several assistants on the offensive staff. Brandon Streeter, who I mentioned, Robbie Caldwell, their O-line coach, Danny Pearman, who coaches the tight ends, who have all been there really throughout Tony's time as OC. So they should be able to handle this well, but it definitely is a disruption right before the game.
Adam, we always have some shocking things that happen during bowl season. This bowl season's a little bit different, as we all know. But what's something that's caught your eye so far in this bowl season that just kind of caught you off guard?
Oh, boy. I mean, I think the situation last night with Tylan Wallace was interesting. The fact that Oklahoma State, planned all along to let him play a half and then pull him out of the game when the game got tight. It just seemed odd to me. I guess every situation's different, and I guess we're not supposed to criticize anybody for what they do in these bowl games. But I just feel like either you play or you don't play. I don't have a problem with either one. Kind of the in between thing. I guess I hope that doesn't become a trend because I think I don't have a problem with anybody opting out, especially a guy like Tylan Wallace. And I know that the De'Aaron King injury might have impacted it, but I don't like to see guys basically decide mid-game, hey, I'm not going to play, or coaches decide I'm not going to play. I just don't think that's a great message.
I agree with you 100%. Speaking of this, we were just talking about this game before you came on. Florida and Oklahoma, so much volatility on both sides of just craziness, whether it be NCAA drama, coaches leaving for other jobs, players opting out. It's so many things happening on both sides. What are your thoughts going into that game?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a bowl game in this era, right? Where there's so many unknowns, and obviously Florida will be using a lot of younger players on offense around a great quarterback in Kyle Trask, and it's a reason why I picked Oklahoma. I do my bowl picks as soon as the matchups come out, and I anticipated that Florida would have a number of guys that would opt out, and obviously no Kyle Trask, no Kadarius Toney, no Trevon Grimes. No Marco Wilson on defense. I mean, this is all setting up for Oklahoma to win the game, but Florida's still talented. They still have a great quarterback. They have a great offensive head coach in Dan Mullen, and I assume they're going to be able to score. I just think Oklahoma, the way that they've ended the season, the momentum that they're playing with, and the fact that most of their guys are ready to roll for this one, I kind of like them in this matchup.
Speaking of Dan Mullen, what details do you know about the crazy things happening with the NCAA there in Gainesville?
As far as I really don't know much about the situation, honestly, other than the fact that Dan won't be recruiting for the year. And but yeah, as far as the details that went into it, I don't know much there at all. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Speaking of the bowl games, What other matchups could be impacted that you're hearing through about COVID? Is there any issues that maybe some of the playoff games could be postponed?
I've not heard that. Obviously we're now within almost about 48 hours. Like 48 hours from now, we'll see Notre Dame and Alabama almost 48 hours playing their game in Arlington. And I haven't heard. Notre Dame put out their latest testing update earlier this week. They had 0 positive tests, so that's a great sign. Alabama hasn't had a major outbreak during the season, so that's encouraging. And then obviously Clemson, other than the news with Tony Elliott, hasn't revealed about anything with players, but that's certainly something to monitor for somebody who clearly had been around players here leading up to the game. Whether there's any issues with Clemson, I guess we'll find that out with Dabo. The good news with Ohio State is they seem to be getting players back from COVID protocols or guys who have tested positive. Chris Olave, who was out for the Big Ten championship game, their leading receiver, he's expected back. We'll see about Baron Browning and some of the other guys that weren't able to compete against Northwestern in the Big Ten championship. So, so far I haven't heard anything that's too concerning. But as you guys know, it just takes one bad day for COVID to become a huge story.
Yeah, Adam. Not everything with COVID has been negative here in 2020. We've had some good things come out of COVID. We've had great December football. We've had some things change. The Heisman Trophy is going to be handed out at a later date, which I've wondered why they handed out so early. But with all that being said, do you think anything from this crazy 2020 and the COVID has brought onto us, some of the good changes that will happen with college football moving forward?
Yeah, it will be interesting. I mean, I think the way that recruiting is done is certainly will be impacted by this, and how much these guys have been able to do without having been in person. I spoke with an ACC coach the other day who said he hasn't met most of the signees that they'll be bringing into that school in a few weeks. Obviously, they've talked virtually and done Zooms and so forth, but there hasn't been as much in-person interaction. I don't think there needs to be as much in-person interaction. I don't think there needs to be as much money spent on recruiting the way it has, or maybe you spend your money differently because of this. I think spring ball might be done differently. Coaches really loved some of those OTA sessions that took place when teams were allowed to get back together in the summer. So maybe the structure of the offseason will be a little bit different. So, do you have to have that many in-person meetings? Does everybody need to be in the facility as much as they are, before, as much as they were, I should say, before COVID was a thing? So, I think there will be some things that will be looked at differently, but I also know that there's a lot of things that were missed that people are looking forward to having back this year.
Well, let's go ahead, since you are a Big Ten guy, how do you think the matchup between Ohio State and Clemson will turn out?
Well, I think a lot just depends on Ohio State. I mean, we know Clemson's coming off of, I think, its best game of the season, its most complete performance. Trevor Lawrence was outstanding against Notre Dame. The defense was outstanding against Notre Dame. And so it's really on Ohio State. Can they look better than they did in the Big Ten title game? If not, it's probably going to be a long night for them. Last year, I think they were the better team. They didn't score enough points in that first half. They should have been blowing out Clemson, and they let Clemson hang around because they kicked field goals instead of scoring touchdowns. And that's just a recipe for a loss against a team that's as good as Clemson and a quarterback that's as good as Trevor Lawrence. So I think, red zone efficiency is going to be really important for the Buckeyes. Having Olave back should help their passing game, which wasn't very good against Northwestern. I think both defenses seem to be playing their best at this time of year. But I think, again, Ohio State having only 6 games, still figuring out some things. And Clemson's a little bit more of a complete product there. So you certainly understand why Clemson's favored. I picked them to win the game. But Ohio State's talented enough that if Justin Fields delivers a great performance, they should be right in this game towards the end with the chance to win.
Adam, what's the one thing of this playoff? There was a lot of controversy about this playoff. We had Tony Barnhart on the show earlier this week, and we talked about the deserving teams and the best teams. And those are 2 different lists when you made out your 4 best or 4 deserving teams for this playoff. What was your thought of the committee, and did they nail it? Did they get it right, or did we miss out on some deserving teams?
Yeah, I mean, it's never deserving, right? I mean, it never has been. It's been best. And so why is that going to change? Even though this year was unusual. I didn't have a problem with it. I had a bigger problem with some of the New Year's Six selections. Didn't like the fact that Indiana was left out. Don't really need to see a 3-loss team in the New Year's Six. Even Georgia, the way they were ranked was kind of puzzling because they got blown out in 2 games. Still a talented team and certainly capable of beating Cincinnati, but I would have liked to see a little bit more variety in the New Year's Six than there was this year. But the top 4, again, you can certainly argue Ohio State didn't play enough games. I guess my counter to that would be pick 4 Big Ten teams they didn't play and make a convincing case to me that they would lose 2 of those games. And if you can do that, I won't put them in. I don't think you can, and that's why I put them in. I've seen Ohio State for many, many years, and since Urban Meyer got there as their head coach, they've lost 2 regular season games one time since 2011. So you could play 4 games, 6 games, 8 games, whatever it was. They could lose once, but if they would have to lose twice not to be in the top 4 because they won the games they needed to win. They beat Indiana, which was their top challenger in their division. So that's where I struggle a little bit with the Ohio State doesn't belong and anything can happen. I've seen enough Ohio State seasons, and yes, they have lost 1 game at times that they shouldn't lose. They almost never lose 2 games they shouldn't lose.
I asked this question to Tony Barnhart, and we had Tom Luganbill on the show last week, and Tom brought up a fun point to ponder and think about. He said, let's increase the playoff to 6, and the top 2 teams get a bye. The other 4 teams play each other, and the winner of those will play the top 2 teams with a bye. Is that a good idea?
Well, listen, I'm all for more access. So certainly the fact that a group of 5 team might be able to get in at 6 would be a positive. To have more teams from different areas of the country would be a positive. But what that probably would do is just increase the chances that the top 2 teams win every year, which is kind of what we have right now. So other than, more access points, which again, I'm all for, I don't know if your outcome is going to be any different. I mean, if we get Alabama and Clemson in the championship game, that's kind of what everyone thought going into the year. So whether leagues played 6 games, 8 games, 10 games, 12 games, non-conference, no non-conference, kind of turned out the way we all thought it would be if that is the outcome. We just have a playoff system right now where there's not enough teams that are capable of winning it. And, I'm for access because I like the opportunity for the group of 5, and I like the opportunity to have a true national playoff. Does it mean that a bunch of new teams are going to start winning it? Probably not.
Right.
And my final question for you is this. Obviously, you went to Northwestern, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. They have been really good and have actually made it to the Big Ten championship game now twice. What do they need to do to take that next step to actually win one of those games, in your opinion?
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, it's very clear they need more explosiveness on offense. And, Urban Meyer was great on Fox about this after the Big Ten championship game, talking about how good of a program this has become. But, very clear what they're missing. They don't have enough guys who can stretch the field. This is an offensive game. They're terrific on defense, and they're losing a great defensive coordinator to retirement, Mike Hankwitz, after the Citrus Bowl. But I have full confidence that they're going to be fine on that side of the ball. They need some dudes. They need guys who can score 50-yard touchdowns. They need a difference-making quarterback. I think they have the right scheme now with Mike Bajakian as their offensive coordinator, but they're recruiting or transfer portaling with the receiver position is going to be very important. I like their young running back and Cam Porter, but that passing game and the ability to score easily, that's what they're really missing, especially when you're trying to compete with Ohio State, which has that, or certainly with these other teams that are winning their conferences.
Adam, I'm going to leave you with a random question. Of all the Division I football coaches you've spoken to, interviewed, met with over the years, which one would you like for them to be your neighbor?
Wow. Oh, that's a good question. I'm trying to think who would be like the most kind of normal person. I have a great neighbor here in Chicago. I mean, I obviously you just mentioned Northwestern. Pat Fitzgerald would be pretty high up on that list. I think for me, a neighbor. mean, I'm not in the same tax bracket, obviously, with those guys. Wow. Trying to think who would be a fun neighbor. I mean, Paul Christ at Wisconsin's great guy. I think he'd be a pretty low profile, low drama neighbor. Trying to think of some other guys who I've really enjoyed over the years. There's some out in the Pac-12. Certainly who could be good neighbors. David Shaw would be a good neighbor. Matt Campbell at Iowa State, who I've gotten to know well.
Yeah.
Matt Rule, who was at Baylor, he would have been a great neighbor. So there's quite a few of them, but I have to really think who would be the guy that I want the most.
What about Leach?
No. The problem with Leach is one of those guys that there's just no short conversation. So your neighbor starts talking with you and you got stuff to do, and it's always interesting, right? You always want to sit there, but you don't have an hour. And Leach would be one of those guys that would just keep talking, and it's like, God, I got to go take my kids somewhere. I got to go mow the lawn.
Yes.
It certainly wouldn't be boring, but I don't know if I could handle Leach as a neighbor.
Adam, I'm gonna follow up with that. Have you interviewed with Mike Leach? Have you talked to him before?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's some of the most random things that got off topic with Leach? Because he does that with everybody. What's something that you're just like, what? How did we get here in this conversation?
Yeah. God, we started talking about I interviewed him at the Pac-12 championship game, or sorry, not the media day, in LA, and we started talking about, I don't know if it was like a pickup rugby league or football league that he played in the Valley, and there was some some connection to a local crime spree, and it was just so off the rails. I think he was a young coach just getting into it, and there was that. I remember when we met each other for the first time, and one thing I like about Mike is he's inquisitive. He'll ask you about yourself. He's not just talking about himself or his interests. And I said I grew up in the Bay Area, and I think his father grew up a little bit north of where I grew up. So we started talking about that. So yeah, it's never boring with Coach Leach, but yeah, I don't think I could handle that every day.
Adam, it was a pleasure having you. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. I hope you have a great New Year. And will you come back and see us in 2021?
Yeah, sounds good, guys. And Happy New Year to you too. And stay safe and enjoy these bowl games. All right.
Adam, real quick, let people know how they can find you, please.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Find my work on ESPN.com. All my work is now ESPN Plus. It was mostly before. So if you're not an ESPN Plus subscriber, please subscribe. A lot of great content, video, written content, all sorts of stuff. And then obviously on Twitter, you can follow me at ESPN Rittenberg. That's RITTENBERG.
All right, man. Thank you so much for your time. And we hopefully will do it again soon.
Okay, guys. Take care.
All right.
Take care, Adam.
Man, that was awesome, and especially when you have a Mike Leach story to end it.
Yeah, when I was in media, of course, I was in television. I wasn't a writer. But yeah, we share stories of guys that we like and don't like. And of course, I wouldn't dare ask Adam or anybody on the show,
right?
Who would you not want to be your neighbor?
Yeah,
I wouldn't ask that question. And of course, I think I probably know just about most of the people's top five in that category of who they wouldn't want from media members. But it's always fun to hear these guys talk and kind of go on. But yeah, I can see where Mike Leach would be the neighbor that would kind of sidetrack you and keep you from your day. Mike Leach would be wonderful for the show, Steve, and maybe I should get to work on that, right?
I wish you would, man. That would be so awesome. So, and by the way, what did you? We actually didn't have that much time to talk about this last week, but what was your overall thought about the Northwestern's performance in the Big Ten championship game? Because I actually thought for a long time there that they were actually going to pull the upset and help A&M out.
Yeah, Northwestern is. It reminds me so much of a lot of SEC teams that they're almost there. And the thing about Northwestern is they've been kind of going through talent cycles. They'll kind of load up on a class and they'll move up and they'll be a top 10 team and finish the year in the top 15. And then, the next year they might win 4 games. They've been kind of going on talent cycles. But I will say this. they've been constantly pushing up and up and up. And the talent cycle has been getting better at Northwestern, clearly. And they've been performing decently in bowl games over the years. So I just think, just like what Adam said, they need some offense. They need some spark. They need an offensive genius to come in there and kind of run that thing. And, you're losing your backbone of your team, and your defensive coordinator is retiring. And so there's a lot of things up in the air. And here's the secret to college football, Stephen, and I think you know this. It's been written about and talked about here recently. It's not necessarily the head coach that you hire. It's who the head coach hires, is whether your team is successful or not. We've seen it over and over and over. Mark Richt made some bad hires, kind of got him out of there. Gus Malzahn made a bad hire, kind of got him out of there. We've seen this over and over and over. Look at Ed Orgeron right now. He's looking for 2 new coordinators. He's getting 2 new coordinators coming into Baton Rouge. There's a lot of different things going on. And so if you make a mistake of hiring an OC or a DC, it can cost you. You make a mistake of hiring a guy that can't pull his weight in recruiting, it can cost you.
Oh, yeah.
And so, or if you hire a guy that cuts corners recruiting, it will cost you. So, it's very interesting to see how it plays out. But whoever you hire, rarely it's the head coach that is making the team better or worse. It's who he hires that makes the team better or worse.
Yes.
So that's the secret to it all, is you've got to hire great coaches and coordinators to be successful in college football. And that's what Northwestern's got to do right now.
Well, before we had Adam on, let's real quick recap. I actually went with Oklahoma in that game. Heath, I think he went with the Gators, correct?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it, but I'm going to be true to the SEC.
All right, so that game is tonight at 7 p.m. on ESPN. Oklahoma is a 3-point favorite in Oklahoma. The Football Power Index likes them at 57% to win that game. All right, next up, we actually talked briefly about this one before we brought Adam on, and you picked Mississippi State. I actually went with Tulsa.
Yeah, I like Mississippi State. I think that's a bad matchup with that Tulsa defense and the air raid offense. I think that's just a bad matchup for them. And if it's bad weather, I like that even more for Mississippi State.
And by the way, that's on New Year's Eve on Thursday at 11 a.m. All right, so next up is going to be a really good game, and this game is actually going to be the CBS Bowl game. Now, originally, the CBS always has the Sun Bowl. However, the Sun Bowl this year was canceled, and so CBS picked up this game. It is going to be the winners of the MAC versus the winners of the Mountain West Conference. Ball State versus San Jose State in the OfferPad Arizona Bowl.
What in the world is an OfferPad?
I have no clue.
Would you want to get dumped, a Gatorade full of OfferPads dumped on you?
No.
I don't know. I might like that, Steven.
Right.
I will say this. I think Ball State is not a good but a great football team. I think San Jose State is a great football team. This is going to be a very fun game to watch. It doesn't matter if you don't know a single thing about either team. It will be a very fun game. The MACtion versus Mountain West, sign me up.
But who are you taking?
Man, you know what? I've got to pull for San Jose in their perfect season, man. I got to pull for the Spartans of San Jose State. The party school, man. Got to go with them.
And by the way, did you hear the news this morning out of San Jose State?
No, I didn't.
Because of this year not counting with scholarships, Nick Starkel is coming back again for San Jose.
Nick Starkel played in the 70s. I mean, him and Kellen Mond, didn't they come in together?
Yes.
And he beat out Kellen Mond either 2 or 3. I think he beat him out 3 times at A&M.
Yes.
And left and was at Arkansas last year, at San Jose State this year, and will be back at San Jose State. You know what? Not that I want Nick Starkel to leave, but how cool would it be if he left and went somewhere else and won big?
I know. That would be insane.
Yeah, he won at A&M, did not win at Arkansas, has won at San Jose State. Maybe he's going to be that travel journeyman quarterback, in the NFL. He's already used to it.
Yes. Well, this game is going to be rather interesting, I do believe, and it's right up the road from you. You've said before that you're like 20 minutes away from the stadium. It was originally supposed to be West Virginia versus Tennessee. Tennessee opted out because of COVID issues, and so we actually insert the these Black Knights of Army playing in the Liberty Bowl against West Virginia. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
My first thought is, if you believe that Tennessee backed out of this game because of COVID issues, I got some oceanfront property in Arizona, brother.
Yeah.
Tennessee, that's just a dumpster fire again. Don't we say that like every 6 months?
Yes.
It's just a dumpster fire in Knoxville. They've got NCAA problems. They got head coaching problems. They got booster problems. They got AD problems. They've got football problems. They've got problems there in Knoxville.
Yes.
Getting to this game, I think this is going to be a tough matchup for Army. I think Army's going to struggle, but I am going to pull for the Black Knights. How can you pick West Virginia? Anytime you play one of the academy schools, you can't pick against that's like picking against America.
Right.
You can't do that. You always got to pick you got to pick Air Force. You got to pick Navy. You got to pick Army. I've got to pick Army. God bless the USA. Go Black Knights.
Yep, I'm going with Army too. I think the triple option is going to be a little too much difficult for West Virginia. All right, next up is going to be the game that you and I were supposed to go to, but we were denied.
Our media credentials got a little shot down there. No, tell you the truth, Stephen, I don't know if I would have been able to make it. I would have tried to. The Peach Bowl game. And hey, Earl's been wanting us to talk about. No, Glenn. If you look at the comments, Glenn's been wanting us to talk about this game all show long. With Georgia, I'm not completely sold on Georgia yet. I'm really liking JT Daniels. That young receiving core is starting to kind of figure things out. Cincinnati, though, man, they just find ways to win. If this game is a close game, Cincinnati will win it. We've seen Georgia lay eggs in bowl games, of games they didn't want to be at, but I don't think that's the case this time around. So, once again, I'm an SEC guy. I'm going to pull for the SEC, and I'm going to take Georgia.
I'm actually going Georgia as well in this matchup because I really don't want to see Cincinnati go, we should have been in, blah, 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 blah. And, they very well could pull a Central Florida and declare themselves a national champion this year. And I do not want to see that.
Yeah, you know what? I don't mind if I see it. And Stephen, how funny would it be if Ohio State gets blown completely off the field and Cincinnati wins big against Georgia? Gosh, that would be fun living in that state. I was about to make a political joke like that state's already split as it is. It's going to be interesting to see how that's going to happen. But I'd like to see Cincinnati go undefeated, but I really think Georgia's the better team. And I think Georgia's kind of figuring out some things, and I think Georgia wants to play this game because they didn't get to play Vanderbilt have their senior day the last game.
Yes. And they didn't get to play Georgia Tech either because of the COVID mess. Yep. All right, next up is going to be the Adam Rittenberg's alma mater versus Auburn. And this is the Citrus Bowl. This is on Friday at noon on ABC. What are your thoughts on this game?
I'm really looking forward to seeing how Auburn handles all the controversy, the turnover, the transition, the craziness. I think it's going to be a shell of a staff there at Auburn. I don't know. I think Auburn is not going to be motivated. Northwestern is good. Now, Northwestern can't put points up. They can't. But you know what? I think Auburn's going to have one or two trick plays there at the beginning of the game to make some things happen. I will not be shocked if Auburn wins this game. Again, I'm an SEC guy. I'm going to take Auburn. I think Northwestern's the better team, but I think Auburn's going to get a little trickery, and I think they might shock us a little bit.
Not without Gus there, my man. I'm going Northwestern. I'm going Northwestern all the way because that defense is a ball-hawking defense. And Bo Nix was not playing at home. He played really bad on the road. That's why I'm going with the Northwestern Wildcats in this one. I think they actually bounce back.
You remember Dan Mullen when he left Mississippi State and went to Florida? That Mississippi State staff was a shell. So many coaches followed Dan to Florida. Greg Knox had a freshman, Keaton Thompson, taking on a Heisman Trophy winner and Lamar Jackson, and Mississippi State pulled the upset.
Yes.
With a freshman quarterback, Keaton Thompson, taking out Lamar Jackson in Louisville without Mississippi State having its coaches, play callers on either side of the ball. Grantham was gone with Mullen. Mullen was gone, not calling the offense. That was just a crazy, crazy game. The Bulldogs pulled it off. So it'll be interesting to see that game. But again, I hate to use the word drama. So much drama around the Auburn program right now. So much clutter. It needs to be cleaned out. And sadly, it's the booster clutter that won't get cleaned out.
Yes.
But, we'll have to see. But I don't think Northwestern has the firepower to stay with Auburn. That's why I'm going to take the Tigers.
I got you. Well, man, let me pull you up full screen. I want your take on this game. I've got to go do something real quick, and I'll be right back.
All right.
I want your take on, this game right here, the Rose Bowl between Alabama and Notre Dame.
I think this is going to be the most boring game on television. I don't think this is going to be a good game at all. If Notre Dame doesn't win the coin toss, they're not going to win anything the rest of the day. I like Alabama early, often, all day, all night, at the party, at the after party, the next day after. I think Alabama is just way too much for Notre Dame. I don't think this is good. I mean, Notre Dame they're coming off a blow-off loss. They didn't look good. They played their worst game against Clemson. And it doesn't matter if they come out and play their best game against Alabama. I don't think Notre Dame's best game can beat Alabama. You know, I'm not a Bama homer. I never have been. But you got to call facts. Bama is just, I don't want to call them a team of destiny just yet, but they're a great football team who have been dominating on both sides of the ball. So that defense is getting better and better for Alabama. That defense reminds me of LSU last year, Stephen. That defense that LSU had, it was not good to start the season. It was average a month into the season. It was slightly above average about midway through the season. It's like then they became decent. But come November, they started playing good defense. And then December in the SEC championship game and through the playoff, that defense was legit for LSU. So with that being said, same thing with this Bama defense. At the beginning of the year, kind of this is an off season for the Bama defense, and they've got issues there. And it's only build and build and build. That Bama defense is a good defense. It's not a great defense. It's not one of the greatest defenses that Bama's ever had, but it's pretty good. It's only getting better. And Notre Dame, you're going to lose. You're going to lose big. Let's see, Richard, our comedian. Just like you can break a window by throwing a brick at it, Notre Dame will be destroyed by Alabama. Yeah, I see that. And so thanks, Steven, for bringing that up. And
well, I'm still here, bud.
Oh, I see you down there in the corner.
Yep, I'm still here. So I'm going to pull you up. I'm going to pull myself up full screen real quick because I'm going to do something different and something new to the show. Okay, so Alabama, Notre Dame. Let me go ahead and pull up the graphic here real quick. I apologize for this. So once again, this is Friday at 3 p.m. This is the start of the back-to-back playoff games. Alabama is a 19.5-point favorite, and Alabama is favored 81% chance to win this game. How in the world, Heath, is it not more?
Oh, I wish I could answer that question, but it should be more. I mean, it should be well into the 90s and in the high 90s. I'm not trying to disrespect Notre Dame. I'm really not. It's just, I see it.
That's who I'm going with right there, the Crimson Tide of Alabama. I've had the shirt back here this whole time. Anytime we've talked about Alabama, it has been hanging right there. So I'm going with the prop here. I'm going Roll Tide, Alabama all the way. They win this game and blow out Notre Dame. It is the most boring bowl game of the entire season, and it shows once again why Brian Kelly and Notre Dame are just not up to par with everybody else in the nation right now. They're not on the same level of Ohio State. They're not on the same level even with Cincinnati.
Wow, I don't know about Cincinnati. I would watch that game though. The Bearcats and the Fighting Irish. I'd love to see that, but I don't know, Stephen. This is the least exciting bowl game of them all. I mean, it's a snoozer.
So
that was a real yawn, by the way. And hey, at home, I see you yawning.
Yes. So what are your thoughts? I mean, how bad is this game going to get, though?
Oh, it's going to get ugly. The only way it comes out is if there's I saw that. I saw Richard's prediction.
I disagree with that. I'm going to actually disagree with you, Richard. I'm going to say 52. Notre Dame scores 10. I don't think they score 17. I don't think they have enough firepower. I mean, if they can't score any more than 10 on Clemson, they're not scoring more than 10 on Alabama.
I'll say this, Stephen. Saban will rest his guys. I used to know the number Saban likes to. I want to say it's 36 points or more. Saban starts resting his guys. If he gets up to 36 in the second half, that's when he starts resting his guys. If it's in the first half, he uses it as practice.
Yes.
I definitely think that this game, I don't know if they get to have practice and get their subs in, but it's going to be close to that.
By the way, I should have popped that up when we were talking about the Auburn game. I agree with you there. I'm going with Northwestern all the way, Richard. So I really feel like that Auburn is going to be in a world of hurt without Gus Malzahn being there.
Yeah. It's Richard. What did Richard call me yesterday? It was an unbiased hater.
Yeah.
Richard, what's your review of me today? I gave you an award yesterday. I gave you the Snoochie Boochie Award, and you called me an unbiased hater.
That's awesome. All right, man. Well, let's go on ahead and go to the other semifinal. Now, obviously, we had Clemson Tom on to talk about this game. It is actually going to be number 2 Clemson versus number 3 Ohio State. What are your thoughts on that game? And hopefully this will not be a yawner. I think this game is going to be a lot better than people think, because I really feel like that Justin Fields' thumb and hand is healed up now. I think he will be back to his true form. I do not think he will throw as many interceptions as he did against Indiana, and he did not look good against Northwestern. And he's going to want revenge from this game because of the overthrow interception he threw last year that went on ahead and propelled Clemson into the national title game. I think Ohio State really, I will say they were robbed on that incomplete pass. I really feel like that was a catch. and then a return for a touchdown that the officials lost. So I think there's going to be a lot of brass on their chest as they come into this game. But I think it's going to come down to, I really feel like the X factor there in that bowl game is going to be Travis Etienne. He's kind of fallen off a little bit ever since that Notre Dame game up there in South Bend. He's really kind of fallen off of everybody's radar. I think the key matchup is going to be Sermon versus Etienne, both teams trying to get that run game going.
Yeah. I think this game's going to be a lot closer than what everyone expects. I think Ohio State has more than a puncher's chance in this game. I really do. I think that Ohio State could shock some people. Clemson is clearly the better team right now, but how many times have we seen other teams beat teams that were clearly better? We see it all the time in college football. That's why we watch. That's why we cheer on. That's why we enjoy the upsets.
Right.
This is not some lackluster Ohio State team. This is not some joke Ohio State team.
Unlike Notre Dame.
Excuse me. Yeah, like Notre Dame is.
They're a joke.
I don't want to call them a joke. They're a good football team. They're just not a great football team.
Right.
They're a very good football team. But, I'm sorry, Stephen. This game is just going to be a whole lot closer than what I think everyone realizes. Last week, I thought this game was going to be a huge blowout. Clemson is clearly the better team, but I've just got this sneaky suspicion Ohio State is going to come out and play over their heads in this game. I really think that last year's game, it's got a little something to do with it. Fields, a lot of people doubting them, a lot of people screaming that Ohio State shouldn't be in the playoff, a lot of people hating on that. I think that's all motivation for Ohio State. I think they are going to come out hot. I think they're going to come out mad. They're going to be focused. I think Ohio State is going to play an extremely high level. And if Clemson has a problem, a slight turnover, come out flat in the first half, whatever, first quarter, this could be a problem. So can Clemson come back and beat them? Absolutely, easily. But I think Ohio State will come out, and they will come out hard. They will come out fast. They will come out strong. And I don't know, man. I'm leaning toward Ohio State.
And you're going to piss off Clemson Tom.
Not on purpose. Unlike other people, he wants to face in a Texas Tornado death match. Again, I think Clemson's the better team. I really do. I think Clemson is by far the better team. I just, I think they're going to come out angry. I think they're going to come out upset. I think they're going to play with passion. And Ohio State, I think they're just going to be a little bit amped up to start this game. And I think Clemson is going to be sputtering a little bit due to the offensive coordinator change due to COVID issues. So I'm going Ohio State.
And by the way, while you were talking about that, I'm still down here. I'm down here underneath the graphic down here. I also just saw, let me pull us both up full screen now. I just saw that Wisconsin did go on ahead and beat Wake Forest. And at the end of the game, they did not dump mayo on Paul Chryst. However, they did dump the Gatorade on him in a mayonnaise jar, big, huge mayonnaise jar type Gatorade cooler.
Wow.
So it looked like mayo. They were going to dump it on there, and it was just all liquid.
That's funny. Stephen, what's the game? We can play this game real quick. The last place that you shopped, the last thing that you have eaten, and now make it a bowl game. So where was the last place that you've shopped, that you bought something?
Oh, Barnes & Noble.
All right, Barnes & Noble. What's the last thing you ate?
Chicken sausage.
So the Barnes & Noble chicken sausage bowl.
Yes.
I would watch it. Yeah.
What about you?
Let's see. The last place I've shopped, I made a deposit at the bank, so I didn't shop there. Gosh, I guess it's when I bought gas yesterday. So,
What station?
it was Kroger. It was the grocery store. So,
Kroger.
yeah. And then the last thing I ate was a blueberry muffin. So the Kroger blueberry muffin bowl.
And Hernando, Mississippi.
I would move it. I'd move it to the Liberty Bowl.
Yes. So that was a really good prediction there, and I'm actually going with this game now. As you can see back here, I actually have the shirt and the tiger paw. Which one do you think I'm actually going with?
I think you're going with Clemson.
All the way. I like Clemson. I think that it's going to set up another Alabama and Clemson showdown in the national championship game.
I will say this: I had a friend of mine. He's a doctor now. He's a vet. So if you have a heart attack, you still got to call 911.
Right.
But Dr. Jeff Fink, great friend of mine and buddy when I lived out in San Diego. We still stay in touch. And, and everything when they were saying earlier this year that the Big Ten wasn't going to play, I reached out to him because I knew he was hurt and I knew he was upset. He was a huge Ohio State fan. He was in the marching band there at Ohio State. He always wanted to dot the I. He didn't get to. But, he was like, he was really bummed about it. He said, this was supposed to be our year. This was the year that we were going to make a huge run at the national championship. This was our year. And of course, he was saying that back during the summer. And so he was really upset about that. So this Ohio State team, the expectations for this team, and he knows his Ohio State football, the expectations for this team were always that we are competing and contending for a national championship. So with that being said, I'm going to give props to Ohio State because they were told they couldn't play football. Then they said they weren't going to change their mind. And then they said they were going to play in the spring. The Big Ten said this, that they were going to play in the spring. And then Ohio State, the parents of those football players, that program, their boosters and their fan base, but mainly the parents of Ohio State football players kept pushing and pushing and pushing the leadership of the Big Ten. And look, they're one game away from playing for a national championship.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
If Ohio State, and I said if because I do think Clemson Tom is still watching, if Ohio State wins, is there any chance that you could get him on the show for next week?
About the doctor?
Yes.
Fink? Yeah, Fink would come on.
I think that would be so awesome if, in fact, they do pull the upset there. I think that would be a great story.
So, his roommate was the kicker
right.
for Ohio State. As a matter of fact, he was telling me this morning that his roommate kicked the ball off to start the Rose Bowl. They still talk about that to this day when they were in school.
And by the way, if Clemson Tom still is watching, I want to say that is a big if where I'm concerned.
Again,
I don't want him to schedule me for a cage match. Heck no, man.
Oh, hey, Steven, you fight dirty, man. Hey, I would be there with a folding chair.
Yeah,
I'd be there with a folding chair. If you get Tom outside the ring, I would hit him with the folding chair for you. Okay.
Awesome, dude. All right, next up is going to be a game that we actually asked a previous guest about, who said he had absolutely done no research on. This is the Tax Layer Gator Bowl. This is Saturday at 11 a.m. on ESPN, and it is going to feature an ACC team and an SEC team. It is going to be number 23 North Carolina State at 8-3 versus a 4-6 Kentucky football team. Now look how crazy this is, Heath.
Yeah, I see it.
Vegas likes Kentucky by 2.5 over a ranked and 8-win North Carolina State team. How crazy is that?
Very.
And look, the Football Power Index even gives the chance to Kentucky. No, North Carolina State is going to roll in this game. I'm sorry.
I like Kentucky's defense. We've said it a million times on this show. Kentucky is the Jekyll and Hyde team of 2020 in the SEC. You never knew what team you were going to get ever with Kentucky this year. So, again, I'm an SEC guy. I will stay true to my SEC roots. Big Blue Nation, baby. I'm going with the Wildcats.
I got you there. All right, next up is going to be, and this was perfect timing because I lost my train of thought. Dadgummit. Hold on. I'm going to put you up full screen. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay. If you've got a request or have a score prediction, put it up. Always put it up, especially when me and Steven are talking about the games. Or if there's a game that we haven't talked about yet, always please put that up. Oh, you're back that quick.
Okay, so the Ole Miss, the account from Ole Miss, that is the SB Nation portion of Ole Miss, just honestly retweeted the show, and that was perfect timing because we are about to pick the Outback Bowl between Ole Miss and number 11 Indiana. And that game is going to be a barn burner because of the offensive firepower of the Lane Train against Tom Allen and the great defense of Indiana. What are your thoughts on that? And let me say this. This is the matchup between the Bloomin' Onion at Outback versus the Coconut Shrimp.
Yeah, I believe the SEC team is always the Bloomin' Onion.
Yeah, I think so, yes. If I'm not mistaken, yes.
And the Big Ten school is always the Coconut Shrimp.
Yes.
I like both. I'd rather be the Coconut Shrimp, though.
Yes.
Stephen, if whoever wins, if the SEC team wins, which that would be Ole Miss this year, if Ole Miss wins, it's a free Bloomin' Onion the next day at Outback. Yes. And if Indiana wins the next day, your free appetizer will be the Coconut Shrimp. So there's something on the line for everybody in this one. Hey, Indiana is a phenomenal team. They really are. They got a lot of defense. That team's a good football team. They got a little firepower with them as well. Ole Miss, that offense, it's crazy, insane good. Crazy, insane. Can Ole Miss play any kind of defense against Indiana? That's going to be the secret. Indiana can run it. Indiana can pass it. Indiana plays good defense. Station to station, Indiana is a better football team. But Ole Miss, bowl season, we see something crazy every single year. And we see teams that shouldn't be in a bowl game or playing a team that shouldn't be there. And then, lo and behold, they end up winning the thing. Steven, your thoughts on this game?
Well, they're actually going to cancel each other out because Penix for Indiana is out due to the injury of the torn ACL. And then you've also got on the other side the two explosive wide receivers for Ole Miss who opted out before the LSU game. So that kind of neutralizes itself. And then you go, who's got the better matchup, who's got the better quarterback, running back, wide receivers, yada, yada, yada. I'm actually going with Indiana in this one just simply because for one reason and one reason only, and it is the Lane Train's inability to stop people.
Interesting. I like that Ole Miss scored a lot of points down in Death Valley against LSU without their top playmakers.
Yeah.
Can they do it 2 games in a row? That Ole Miss defense, that LSU defense, basically trash. We know that.
Yes.
Everyone's done that all season long. We knew that after the first week when Mike Leach and the air raid blew up LSU and destroyed them. It's going to be interesting. There is plenty enough firepower left for Ole Miss to keep this competitive, but will they? Do you like Indiana?
I actually do like Indiana there. I like Indiana. Unfortunately, I'm going against the SEC here.
It's going to be hard for me to pick Ole Miss in this game. But you know what? This is the type of game that Ole Miss wins. When they're completely counted out, they get someone bigger than them, they always find a way to rally and win. We've seen this before out of Ole Miss. You know, and this isn't the first time that it's under different coaches. I mean, you know, we've seen them beat Alabama before with Hugh Freeze. We saw them with Houston Nutt beat Tim Tebow and the Florida Gators. We've seen Ole Miss rally with nothing and beat teams that are better than them. I don't know if they can do it in this bowl game, man. I got to go with the Hoosiers. Who's your daddy?
So you actually changed your pick there. Wow.
I didn't change it. I think Ole Miss has the firepower. That defense is just complete trash in Oxford. I mean, it's worse than a Tennessee dumpster fire right now. I mean, it's that defense is pretty bad. They've got to figure things out on defense on that side of the ball. So I don't know, man. Until Ole Miss starts figuring things out on defense, they're never going to be a serious team in the SEC.
Yeah. All right. Next up is going to be the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, like we talked about earlier. Dump the chips on you, get one off your shoulder, eat it. And this one is actually going to be a pretty good little quarterback matchup between Heitch, I think his name is, or for Oregon.
I know who you're talking about, yeah.
His name. And then Brock Purdy for Iowa State. So this is going to be a really good quarterback matchup in this game. Oregon versus Iowa State. And Oregon is obviously the winners of the Pac-12 because they actually upset USC. And then, of course, you have Iowa State, the runner-up in the Big 12, sorry. What are your thoughts on this game?
We've seen Oregon lay some eggs over the years. Here recently, Big Ten teams in the past couple of years have actually done decent in bowl games, better than expected. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Iowa State win, but I'm not a betting man, but I'm liking Oregon. I think Joe Moorhead and that offense out there at Oregon, Oregon's a good team. They're not just some run-of-the-mill. They're better than their uniforms. How about that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Oregon in this one, and I like Oregon only because I think they've been a little bit more rested. I think they're looking forward to this bowl game, and they're coming off a huge win. So I think they'll ride that momentum into this game, and they go with it. But this game can go either way. It really can. Iowa State is a better team.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I got something with Oregon there. I don't like teams that have to travel multiple time zones across the country to play a game. And I think that's going to be the case with Iowa. And I think that messes with them a little bit.
I'm actually going Iowa State because in 2 losses, Oregon against Cal and then Oregon State did not look as good on offense. And Iowa State has a pretty good defense. And Matt Campbell is going to have his guys ready to go. I'm actually going with the Cyclones of Iowa State in this game.
Fair enough.
All right, and finally, we have the Capital One Orange Bowl, which will be the last of the bowl games until we get to the national championship game. It is going to be the team that feels like it was left out and snubbed, traveling down to Miami to take on the North Carolina Tar Heels, 8-3. And it goes back to Texas A&M taking on Mac Brown. They used to be foes when he was the coach at Texas, and now Mac Brown at another school. Can he keep that tradition going of beating Texas A&M down there in the Orange Bowl? And believe it or not, I don't know if you saw this or not, and I don't know if this is fake or not, but there was a story going around that the uniforms for Texas A&M are actually going to be orange for the Orange Bowl.
I did not hear that.
Yes.
Interesting.
So
I wouldn't think A&M fans would embrace that.
I don't know. I feel like that they would not because it looks too much like Texas.
Yeah, no. If you had like an orange stripe or an orange decal or something, okay, I'll give you that. Orange trim somewhere, okay, but that would be different, and different's not always good. Jimbo Fisher is saying all the right things, Stephen, with this game. He's saying that we're looking forward to this. We're not going to have a letdown. We're ready to get after it. We want to show everybody, that we deserve to be in the playoff with yada, yada, yada. He's saying all that. I don't know if I believe it. North Carolina is a good football team, and North Carolina is only getting better as the season goes on. And Mac Brown's a great coach. So is Jimbo Fisher. I kind of give the edge to North Carolina, but I'm going to stick with the SEC, brother. I'm going A&M, gig 'em. And if they lose and they have any orange in the uniforms, that's the reason why.
Give me just a second because I'm actually going to pull these up. I'm still here, but I would like for you to continue to talk just for a minute so that I can pull this up and show you what the combination for A&M is going to look like.
All right.
So I'm going to be working down here in the background, but you can ask me anything. I'm still here. You just can't see me because of the graphic.
Gotcha. I see Motaz Hyatt has joined us. Motaz, how are you? Welcome to the show. No, the A&M, I like when they get creative with the uniforms and stop Bama fans. I don't want to hear it that, your tradition and this and that. Stop Auburn fans. I don't want to hear it. I know Auburn changed their uniform slightly for the bowl game a couple of years ago to honor Pat Sullivan, but it makes it fun. Players like it, and no, it's not bad luck. It's not anything wrong with it. It's okay to change up your uniform time to time or all the time. It's your choice. It's not a big deal. Stop making it a big deal. I love the tradition of college football. I love that teams like Nebraska don't change their uniforms, and Bama and Auburn. I'm okay with that. But every now and again, for one game a year, it's not a big deal to play in a black uniform or something of the sort. So now sometimes the uniform's completely ugly and pointless and worthless. I'll agree with that. But it's okay to have fun with it. I know Alabama won game a couple of years ago against Ole Miss. I remember it was the Jefferson Pilot game that day. That tells you how long ago this was. Bama had the houndstooth collar, and I think that Bama had to win that game in overtime to beat Ole Miss. And I remember so many of the Bama fans saying, you messed with the uniforms, it almost messed us up today. Well, it didn't. You still won the game. And just stop. Stop with all that. Have a little fun with it.
Okay, let me it is downloading. It'll be here in just a second, dude. This is insane. So go ahead and talk just for another minute. And I'm going to pull this up, I promise, and I'll be right back.
Hey, Steven, you got time for a quick question?
I do.
You get to pick a college football coach to be your neighbor. Who do you pick?
Oh, wow. Wow. Who? Let me ask you that. Who do you pick, and then I will give you mine.
Oh, wow. I think Dabo would be kind of a fun neighbor. He always seems upbeat and happy. He doesn't like he'd bring a lot of drama next door to you. Dabo would be kind of a fun one. Trying to think, who. If Mark Richt was still coaching, that would be like the obvious answer. Like Mark Richt would let you borrow his weed eater if you needed it. If yours wasn't working. I mean, he's the kind of guy that would help you out. I don't know. That's a good question. You know what? I'll go with Dabo. What about you?
I'm actually going with probably Hugh Freeze, Coach Freeze.
There you go.
All right. I cannot get this to pull up, so I'm going to have to share the screen like I did at the beginning of the show to show you guys what they're actually doing. So give me just a second. Pull you both down. And that's not it.
No, that's not it.
That's it.
No, surely not. Surely not.
I know, and they Adidas made those for Texas A&M. Now I don't know how. I do not know how well they are going to take it down there in Aggie Land, and who knows? It may have just been a joke or a satire. But that is what is planned for Texas A&M to wear in this game Saturday night.
No, that's got to be a joke. That's got to be a joke, Steven.
If it's not, that is horrible by Adidas. Wouldn't you say?
No, it'd be worse than that. That's got to be a joke, Steven. That's.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's what was trending the other day out there in Aggie Land. Adidas was so, but that's you know, you never know.
Oh, I see that Glenn put up Steve Spurrier. Who would he would want for his neighbor? Yeah, you get these old coaches. There's a lot of names that come to mind that you could. I wouldn't want Tommy Tuberville. Yeah. Maybe we have that show. Yeah. I figured you'd put that up.
I do like the fact that she actually watches the show. I really want to thank her for doing that.
It's funny because there's a lot of times where I don't think she's watched it. I think there's times that she's never watched at all. And then she'll randomly drop something a day or two later. And,
yes.
hey, on the show, you brought this up. What? You bring that up now?
I'm actually going with this game, getting back on topic. I'm actually going with the orange uniforms and the Texas A&M Aggies. I think they come out and make a statement, and I think that Kellen Mond basically this could be his last game down there at Aggie Land or not. I mean, he may decide to come back. Who knows?
After 24 seasons with the Aggies, I hate to see him go.
Yeah. But I really feel like that they actually go out a winner, and I think that they do a lot better in the Orange Bowl than Mississippi State did when it got its opportunity against Georgia Tech. Man, that was a heartbreak. Yeah,
there was a lot of drama around that game. The coordinator and Josh Robinson.
Yes, Josh Robinson opting out. Man, that was so selfish of him.
Yeah, well, I don't think he opted out. I think he just announced it before the game. Or I can't remember what happened on that. I spent the week before in Key West. I had too good of a time. But this game will be somewhat interesting because I think North Carolina not only can win this game, can blow them out just like they did Miami last week. This could be a little bit of an issue. A&M is the better team. I like A&M, but we've been saying it all year. We've been saying it for years, Stephen. Kellen Mond keeps both teams in the game.
Yes.
He's going to throw a random pick. He always does. He's going to have a random turnover. That's just what he does. So he's a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He has set tons of records at A&M. But I like the Aggies. I'm going to stick with the SEC. I think they'll win, but I will not be shocked at all if Mac Brown sticks it to the Aggies like he made a living at doing at the University of Texas there in Austin.
And finally, Heath, I do want to recap one more time. I'm actually going with Alabama, Clemson again down there in that game. And I believe, if memory serves me correctly, you're going Alabama, Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm going to go Alabama and Ohio State. I hope it's Clemson. I like Dabo. I want him to be my neighbor, right?
Yes.
But I like Alabama. I like Ohio State in the national championship game. I think Ohio State is going to come out mad and angry, and I think they're going to come out really fast.
And how bad do you think that they actually beat Clemson in this game?
I think it'll be close. I think it'll be kind of like that Miami game that we saw yesterday. I think they're going to jump on Clemson, and Clemson's going to roar back, but they're just going to not have enough time at the end.
So, who do you ultimately like in the Alabama-Ohio State matchup?
It'll be a toss-up, but Bama's clearly the better team. I'm telling you, Ohio State has a massive chip on its shoulder. A massive chip on its shoulder. They really want things to happen. And they're going to be the more fresher team. They've got less beaten bruises on their body this year. I think that's a massive, not a little advantage, not a big advantage, a massive advantage for Ohio State.
Right.
That they're a little bit more fresher than these other teams. So, they haven't had a game where they lost their version of Jalen Waddle. So that's something to keep in mind. But I do like Alabama run the table and winning. I can't remember what the real national title count is at Alabama. I know they add to it. But yeah, I definitely think Alabama is the front runner and the team to beat. But I think Ohio State's going to make it very interesting.
On that note, we will sign off on the Stingray Show, and next week we can hopefully have people back on from both teams as we go down the stretch of college football and towards the 14 playoff championship game next week. So, Heath, is there anything else you would like to add before we sign off?
Yeah, you know what? I hate this weather, Stephen. I hate it. I like the beach. If you could pick any beach in the world, not the country, the world, where are you going?
Either Hawaii or the Maldives or Maldives, however you
Maldives.
say.
Oh, Maldives. That's a strong one. I think I'm going Fiji in the South Seas.
Right.
Never been there, but I've always seen the pictures. You know what? If I had to pick between Maldives and Fiji, I'm picking Maldives.
And the reason I'm not picking the Bahamas is because the Bahamas got torn up really bad a couple years ago by a massive hurricane. So I'm sure still reaping the issues there with that system.
Well, I would like to thank our guest today, Clemson Tom, for coming on the show. Also, our great friend Adam Rittenberg for returning to the show. Clemson Tom, we had to cut him shortly due to internet issues for a second time.
Yes.
But
called
out some other writers that will remain nameless and challenged them to a Texas Tornado death match just because he doesn't like how they talk about Dabo.
And by the way, I will say, though, Clemson Tom's internet was a lot better than what it was last time.
Yep. Let's just hope that Clemson plays better than his internet, right?
Yes. All right, man. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Stingray Show. We hope everybody has really enjoyed it. And do not forget, tonight, 7 o'clock, ESPN, the Gators of Florida take on the Oklahoma Sooners on ESPN. Enjoy your college football, everybody. By the time we talk to you next week, we will have the final two teams in the playoffs, national championships. We will see you guys then. We hope that you have a wonderful and blessed new year. We will see you in 2021.
SEC.
The Dogs and Stingray are coming for you.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Good afternoon, Mr. Feinbaum. Stingray here, and I'm about to shoot the bull with you like all the Auburn students do down at Auburn.
Worst defense ever!
So without further ado, here is the biggest Alabama going for the field goal. The kick is up. It is away. It is no good. Chris Davis bringing it out of the end zone. Oh, he's got blockers.
Chris Davis up the sideline. Here he goes. Here we go, guys. Dobbs back to pass. Launching the ball. Jennings, he's got it. Jennings, he's got it. Touchdown, Tennessee. They shocked the Dogs in Sanford Stadium. Are you kidding me? My God almighty, what an epic way for the